When I was much younger, one of my dream cars was the Lexus IS350 F Sport. At that time, it cost around 3 million Philippine pesos, and of course, I didn't really have the moolah to treat myself to one. However, if the GAC Empow GB came out back then, there's a high probability that this car will make it into my garage. You see, it's not a Lexus, but it exudes the same vibe. Now, if you're curious to know why I said that, stick around because I'm going to tell you all about it. Let's do this. GAC said that the Empow is one of their most important models in the lineup, and in an era of crossovers and SUVs, I am curious to know why. For one, if it's so important, then they should have spent more time thinking of a better sounding name. But looking past that funny sounding title, the Empow seems to show a lot of promise, considering the price level that it comes in. This mid-spec GAC Empow GB has an asking price of 1,305,000 Philippine pesos, which undercuts the only other sporty compact sedan in this segment, the Honda Civic V. But in a world that increasingly prefers crossovers, does this mid-spec GAC Empow GB stand a chance in our market? Let's find out. Here at Reagan's Rides, we do car reviews of SUVs, sports cars, trucks, and everything in between. So subscribe and hit the bell. Well, if you're a fan of driving, then yes, this GAC Empow GB should be on your short list. You see, one of my frustrations with most Chinese offerings and a majority of value-priced crossovers, regardless who the car maker is the overall lack of driving emotion. The drives of these value-for-money cars that I got to review feel so artificial. They feel so light and they feel so uninspired. So after reviewing so many of these cars and crossovers, I wasn't really expecting much from this GAC Empow GB. I mean, what else can you expect from a car that's named Empow, right? But dude, this car really surprised me. My fellow car reviewers told me that I'm going to have so much fun when I get to drive the GAC Empow, but they didn't tell me just how much fun this car can actually deliver. First up, we have oodles and oodles of power here. The Empow gets a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that puts out 168 horsepower and 270 Newton meters of torque. All that power can be sent to the front wheels via a 7-speed wet-type dual-clutch transmission. Now, the power delivery is smooth and linear, and it doesn't even feel like we have a turbo here. Now, I also love that we have 5, let me repeat that, we have 5 drive modes here. There's Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, which I think is race mode, and the DIY, which is basically your own custom setting in case the 4 drive modes is not even enough for you. Now, everybody will gush about Sport Plus, but dude, I am super impressed with the Empow's Eco mode. You see, unlike the other Eco modes of other vehicles, which is so slow, and you'll probably die of frustration when you're using it and trying to save fuel. Well, the Eco mode of the Empow GB is not only usable, but it is also very, very responsive. It doesn't feel like an Eco mode at all. In fact, it kind of feels like the sport mode of other cars out there. Now, there are some cars that deliver great power but fall short in all of the other aspects of the drive. Now that's not the case when it comes to this Lexus. This GAC Empow. The steering feel is the best in the price category, beating out even the likes of the Honda Civic. It's sharp, responsive, properly weighted, and it provides you with enough feedback such that you know what your front wheels are doing. The transmission is also tuned well enough for, let's say, spirited driving, although it still suffers from the usual dual clutch jerk when you're going in stop and go traffic. It's probably because we have so much power on tap here. We also have some gimmicks like launch control and a race timer. But to be honest, it's not really something that you'd use all the time. Now, I tried to use launch control of the Empow, but it wouldn't let me because the system came out and said, yeah, launch control is still cooling down. So yeah, I guess there are some limits when it comes to the spirited driving that you can do with this vehicle, at least if you want to use launch control. I have to hand it to GAC. You see, they make Toyotas in China, but when it comes to the overall styling of the GAC Empow, well, they went straight to Lexus for inspiration. You see, we have a really good looking front end here, from the gorgeous front grille design down to the LED headlight units here. In fact, I love the way they designed the LED DRLs because they kind of remind me of the Ford Mustang. Now, we also have a pair of real air inlets at the sides of the front bumpers, which helps to smoothen out the air curtain as the GAC Empow travels at high speed. Now, this would improve on the aerodynamics of the car, and in fact, the only other sedan that I've seen and reviewed that came with real air inlets would be the sedan offerings from BMW. The GAC Empow GB gets a sporty, fastback side profile here that is complemented by these carbon fiber designed power folding side mirrors with LED turn signals. Now, we also have a set of 17-inch alloy wheels here, a little bit small for the category, but they are decent enough. Now, behind those wheels, we get 4-wheel disc brakes, and for the suspension, the GAC Empow GB rides on MacPherson's up front and a multi-link rear suspension. Now, we also have a regular size sunroof here thrown in for good measure. When you step inside the Empow GB, you immediately get transported into the cabin of a Lexus IS. Seriously pare, this cabin reminds me of the color scheme of the IS350F Sport. See, we get red and black bits here inside, as well as the anthracite black headliner here that gives this cabin an overall premium look. Heck, dude, even the seat belts are red, and these red seat belts make me into a happy little kid. Now, you might not like the red and black scheme that we have here. You might find it a little bit too garish. Well, if you're that type of person, you'd be happy to know that you can spec the Empow GB to have black and yellow color scheme for the cabin. If that's something that will float your boat. Now, of course, we get the look here of a Lexus IS350F Sport. But when it comes to the cabin materials, well, of course, it's several notches lower in terms of the materials quality. Now, that's not really a complaint because, dude, this Empow GB costs only a fraction of the price of the Lexus IS350F Sport. Now, we also have a set of faux red and black leather seats here that has power adjustments for the driver's seat, but only manual adjustments for the front passenger, at least in this mid-spec Empow GB variant. We also have a steering wheel here, which at first I thought was leather wrapped, but apparently it's just a urethane steering wheel. But dude, kudos to GAC for fooling me, because I've been driving this for a week and I thought that I was holding a leather wrapped steering wheel. I mean, the urethane material is that good. Now, thankfully, we still have a tilt and telescoping function for this steering wheel, although we don't have paddle shifters, something that I wish we get even in this mid-spec trim, but you need to go up to the top spec Empow to get that. Now we also have a pair of digital displays here up front. Yeah, it's something that's already expected from a Chinese car, but what I didn't expect was the layout and the display when you toggle on Sport Plus mode. You see, when you're on Sport Plus, you get a tachometer front and center right there, and you have gauges that show you your turbo boost pressure. You got a gauge for water temperature, for oil pressure, and for oil temperature. I mean, these are the things that you'd expect to get in a race car, and we have that here in the GAC Empow GB. Now this infotainment system is, I think this is a 10.1-inch touchscreen infotainment system, and we have Apple CarPlay here, although we don't have Android Auto, so if you're an Android user, you just have to use Bluetooth, and we also have the image of a reverse camera. Now, I also have to give my thanks to GAC for providing us with actual physical buttons here for your climate control system, and we have a dedicated knob. It's a toggle switch for the drive modes, and we also have a nice looking knob for your volume controls. Now, it's great that we have that, because it just shows that GAC knows that people who appreciate driving dynamics would also appreciate physical buttons. And yes, this is GAC bucking the trend of most Chinese car makers of putting all the functions in their infotainment system. I'm really happy that GAC did not do that. So midway into this video, it would seem that the Empow GB is nearly a perfect car. Well, not quite. See, there are still some niggles here and there, like the fact that we don't have a manual mode in this mid-spec GB, and we don't even have a low gear function. I mean, it's just drive. So I have a feeling that they kind of forgot to include that, because the top spec Empow gets paddle shifters, so at least you could put it in manual mode in that trim. Now, another niggle here is the fact that we have some really large windows and a really large windshield, which is fantastic for visibility. But if you're driving a media unit like this, which does not come with any window tint at all, well, dude, you are going to get really dark and really warm really fast when you're driving the GAC Empow GB. Now see, that now takes me to the air conditioning system of this vehicle. I drove this on a hot day here in tropical Philippines, where temperatures were going over 40 degrees Celsius, and I noticed that the Empow's AC system, it was struggling a little bit. I put the blower on max setting and I put it on the coolest possible temperature, and I was still sweating here inside. The good thing there though is it's a quick fix. All you need to do is install some good quality window tint, and yeah, you're going to be kept cool while driving the Empow GB. The fuel economy is also average. Light city drives gave back 10 kilometers per liter, while an eco drive on the highway returned 14.5 kilometers per liter. It's not the most fuel-efficient compact sedan out there, but heck, with great power comes great fuel consumption. All these niggles disappear though the moment that you learn that this mid-spec GAC Empow GB comes equipped with ADAS. I mean, as you're seeing on your screen, we get class-leading safety features here, such as adaptive cruise control and even traffic sign recognition. The ADAS system here is also one of the better ones out there, which I like considering the price. I mean, it's not too intrusive, and it has that perfect balance of just keeping you safe, but at the same time allowing you to do your thing while you're driving. Now, as for the back seat, let's go and check it out. The back seat of the Empow GB will make you feel like a boss. We have a good amount of space here. In fact, it's spacious enough so that you can put 3 adults here at the back seat, and all 3 of them will be quite comfortable. The NVH levels is also very, very good. I mean, even when traveling at highway speeds, it's quiet here at the back, and you could really relax as you're being driven around. However, it's not really the perfect back seat because we only have a solo rear AC vent here, a single USB charge port, and heck, we don't even get a center armrest right there. But at least we still have red seat belts here, so that's gotta count for something, yeah? The rear end is also tastefully designed. We get some design hints coming from the rear end of a Lexus IS350 here, from that ducktail spoiler found on the trunk lid, plus these beautiful LED taillight units here. Now we also have some faux garnishes here at the sides of the rear bumper, as well as a pair of faux exhaust garnishes there, because yeah, if you want to have the real exhaust pipes, you'll have to pony up for the top spec Empow variant. Now, in order to pop open the trunk of this baby here, we don't really have a button, but as you can see, once the car detects the key fob, the taillight there will start flashing. The center mounted taillight will start flashing, and it will automatically pop open the trunk for you. So now that we have the trunk open, you can see that we have a good amount of space here. I don't really have the exact figures in terms of liters, but we do have our large Sky Travel luggage here. And as you can see, there you go. As you can see, we can easily put 1 large Sky Travel luggage and still have enough space for a medium-sized Sky Travel luggage here at the side. Or if you like, you can also put in a pair of golf bags, and the GAC Empow can easily swallow it. After driving the Empow GB for a week, I now understand why this car is such an important model for GAC. It's a rolling showcase of what GAC can do in terms of driving dynamics. The Empow is a statement that GAC is ready to play on the global stage, and that all the other car makers should take note that GAC is capable of creating a car that can keep up or even outperform their performance sedan offerings. And the best part is, you don't even have to pay a lot of money to access this kind of performance. Thanks for watching.